What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How is everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, September 11th, 2024, episode 139? We're going to start off with the obvious. Today is September 11th, day that has lived in infamy since 2001. It's crazy right now that I remember where I was when this happened. A lot of people do. But we're getting to a point now where there are so many kids that either weren't alive or far too young to remember. So I think it's real important that shows like this and, anyone that's around or old enough to remember it, we keep reminding people what happened, that on September 11th, we were attacked by a deadly terrorist attack on our Twin Towers. 2 planes flew into us, killed over 3,000 people, and then we went to war over it. So we just got to keep in mind of everything that went on there. So just in memory of that, we got to keep that going. So let's jump in past that. But it is September 11th, episode 139 of the show. If you like what you see today, like what you hear, give us a follow, give us a retweet, whatever it is, repost, subscribe, all that good stuff on YouTube. Spread this word of mouth. That's the best way for this show to get bigger, is word of mouth. If anyone noticed, Dave isn't here at the moment. He's having technical difficulties. That's why he's AOL Dave, because basically he has AOL modem out in West Virginia, and it's like 56K over there. We're surprised he has it in West Virginia, if we're being quite honest. But Dave is having some trouble. He'll pop in whenever he can. He's just kind of reloading stuff there. But go find us at the Alex Cuesta Show everywhere. Last week's episode, we kind of rounded our little coaches series that we did, where 2 weeks ago we had Coach Tommy Farrell from Manchester, my alma mater. Last week we had our good buddy, head coach defense, and his assistant coach and a athlete I coached before, Monty Richardson, over for New Egypt High School. We talked about their outlook for the season, what they learned from last season and things like that. And they ended up picking up a win the following day after the show. So we're pumped for both of those programs to get it going. And since we're jumping back into politics today, I'm going to bring back up what I brought up a few weeks ago, the Epstein client list. Too many shows, too many people have forgotten about these things. The 24-hour news cycle keeps on shoving things like this underneath the rug. But I find it important that we don't do that. So I'm trying to bring it up weekly that we still have no answers for the Epstein client list. Last night, we had the debate between 2 presidential candidates. Wasn't brought up once. None of the moderators decided to bring up whether or not that list was going to be revealed public. Neither of our candidates decided that it was important enough to bring up whether or not that client list should be brought up to talk about the individuals and shine to light the individuals that participated in organized rape of underage girls. So I'm going to keep bringing that up until either the government comes after me or, we figure something out there. So let's see. Dave's back. Dave, are you good?
Hopefully. I mean, that's up to you guys whether or not.
Your camera looks better, but you looking better is always suspect.
That's just not going to happen.
No,
I actually just straight up turned the Wi-Fi off just on my settings.
Okay.
And I think that'll help. maybe next time I turn on my computer to Ethernet, we'll still decide to work fine.
Maybe. But I just got done doing our little preamble, so I'm happy that you're here. And we're ready to bring on the guests, so we can have as little of you as possible speaking, so that's always a good thing. So I want to bring in our guest for this week. He's someone that directly affects me, and I'm going to bring him in first, though. So he is Stephan Krakower. He is running for the New York State 106th Assembly District against Democrat Dee Dee Barrett. He's a Republican. What's up, Stephan?
First of all, I want to thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, especially September 11th. It is
yes.
I guess it's a special / unique day. It's a day that I really wish we never remembered because it never happened. But you do remember where you were, and you remember how that impacted you and how it changed people's lives. I think you also what people forget is it brought us all together, and as a nation and as human beings, and somewhere along the way we've lost that, and we've forgotten that, and we don't treat each other as human beings the way we should.
Yes.
So a lot of bad happened on September 11th, and then a lot of good happened when you saw how human beings just went to the site to try to help and do whatever they could, try to find people and try to help people, and humanity came together, and then our country stepped up, and we had leaders who led, and brave people who fought and they defended our freedom and they fought back. So I love this country. I love how we rallied from there. I sometimes get upset with how we've kind of just drifted away. People forget the sacrifices that people make. I think my father's generation and my grandfather's generation, they had to fight for their freedom. Our generation and the younger generation doesn't have to fight for the freedom. There's brave people that step up to do that. And we miss the value in that. We don't have that shared sacrifice as much. We don't have that same, everybody presumes that you have these freedoms and that they can do what they want with them. And they will trample the people that step up to fight for it sometimes in that process. And it's a shame. And it should be that September 11th never happened, but it should also be that since it did, people keep that in mind more than once a year.
Yeah.
And, and it's truly the last time we were probably unified, right? Because even before that, I think everyone forgets all the vitriol thrown at George W. Bush. Heard a lot of the same rhetoric from the mainstream media that you hear against all the candidates, right? Like, he's every phobist and everything like that for a Republican. But when that moment happened, it was like no one cared that Mayor Giuliani was a Republican. He was American. Nobody cared George W. Bush was a Republican. He was an American commander-in-chief trying to navigate it. And it was truly the last time, for my lifetime, I was in 7th grade when it happened. So it was like the last time I remember unification of the country being like that. Now it's like everything is so suspect in the government that we're all kind of trained that if we see it, question it. Don't believe anything you see. Don't believe anything you hear. Now, Stephan, you're entering into the arena of a politician, and you're about to put yourself into that space of why should we believe you, right? Because, you have your family, you have your people that know you and know your values, but now you're trying to reach a much broader audience, tens, hundreds, thousands of people that you're going to be attempting to represent. So just give us your first pitch. If I'm living in Dutchess County, if I'm living in Columbia County, we've had Dee Barrett running the show for years here as a Democrat. What is the motivation for people to switch over, go to Republican, and specifically you?
Well, I think it kind of springboards from that is that, we're all human beings. We're all Americans. We're all from this community. And I'm born and raised here. My grandfather and his brothers came over from Poland, and they had nothing, and they worked hard, and they got ahead, and they helped get the next generation educated, gave opportunity to their kids and grandkids. So I'm born and raised in town of Poughkeepsie. The as things change, people move in, people move out. Yep. And what's happened more and more is people are getting pushed out. People aren't moving because they want to. People are leaving New York State because they have to. And it's a shame because it's a beautiful area. It's a beautiful state. But we've gotten to the point where the state doesn't really reflect who we are all the time and what we stand for. Absolutely. So, I have nothing against Dee Barrett, but she went to Beverly Hills High School. I went to Spangdale High School. I grew up in the town of Poughkeepsie. I don't even know what Beverly Hills High School looks like, but it doesn't look like and so and I don't know that she knows. I don't know that she knows what Poughkeepsie looks like and what the people who grew up here and live here are really like. And so we need a voice in Albany. We need a voice of reason. We need a voice. We need somebody that will speak for us, that will stand up and say what needs to be said when it needs to be said. I have friends. I have family. I don't need to go to Albany to make friends, and I don't need to go to Albany to try to figure out how to get along with the people up there and make myself more important and more, entrenched. I need to go to Albany to speak for people, and my intention would be to go up there, stand up, and say what needs to be said, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. Sometimes there's so many things that happen up there that make no sense, but it doesn't seem like there's anybody in the room that really cares. And it doesn't seem like there's anybody in the room that really understands that, like, we back home pay the price. Prices go up. It becomes harder and harder to afford to just go to the grocery store. Kids playing sports, the cost of everything skyrockets. People can't afford to put their kids in sports. and they got to make decisions. Are you going to buy groceries, or are your kids going to play soccer or baseball this year? And it's ridiculous, and it's not fair. And rather than turn and run, my feeling is I'm going to stay and fight. I'm going to fight for us and fight for my kids and fight for your kids. And it isn't Republican, Democrat. It's just us. We're people. We're human beings, and we deserve to be able to exist where we want to exist. I shouldn't have to move out of New York State because I can't afford it. I can't afford to raise my kids, or when I retire that I got to leave here because I can't afford to live here any longer because it's too expensive. So I'm someone that gets involved. I see a door, I walk through it, and I speak, and I get involved. And I'm not perfect. I will make mistakes, but what I will always do is listen to people. I will represent people, not me. Campaigning, you go door to door, not just to get votes, but to listen to people. The people that live in this district should hear from their elected representative.
100%.
I've knocked on so many doors and rang so many doorbells. I have yet to meet somebody who's met my opponent at their door, at their front porch, in their lawn.
So let's go into Dee Dee Barrett for a touch, because I want to talk about the economy. You mentioned being able to afford things. You mentioned, doing sports, putting groceries on their table, getting gas, all these types of things. A lot of people, when they hear these politics, you're going for a state level position. Everyone gets caught up in the federal stuff because they watch CNN, Fox News, and listen to some national level podcasts and things like that. So it's a very different animal. What has Dee Dee Barrett specifically done over her tenure? Because how long has Dee Dee been? It's been a while that Dee Dee's been representing us, right?
12 years.
12 years. So what has she done negatively to affect us economically in our area, right? Because I don't care what they do in the federal government when it comes to your position. And what people need to realize is, although we have some great people running for federal office from this area, New York here, Stephan's significantly more important. And don't get me wrong, I want all of them to win. But being at the state level, you're our first buffer in this area to, prevent things that are going on and coming down the pipe. So what has she done to hurt us economically in this area? And what do you plan on doing or bringing to Albany, obviously, because it's tough sledding being a Republican in Albany. But what do you plan on bringing economically that's going to change it for us here?
Well, here's the thing. As a member of the majority, you're able to get things done because you can get the votes. Mm-hmm. I was on the town board for about 20 years, and we were in the majority for most of that time. And it's tough to govern. When you have a majority, it's difficult to govern. Mm-hmm. So you have the majority, you have a responsibility to get things done, whether it costs money, doesn't cost money, whether you have to raise taxes, whether you can cut taxes. You have things that you have to do for people. Definitely. And being in majority, you'd say, do we want an assembly person that's in the majority or the minority? And you say, well, the majority. But the problem is, if after 12 years being in the majority, there is nothing I can tell you that she did for us. The things that I can tell you that she's done to us is that Central Hudson raised her rates, and they appoint the people that make the decision of whether the rates can go up. She's a chair of the Energy Committee. She's done nothing to try to figure out ways to curb those increases. And
now, Stephan, I want to give Dave a little reference here because Dave lives in West Virginia.
Yeah, I was going to say, no.
I'm over here in Poughkeepsie, so I've experienced it. So, Dave, I don't know what your energy is like there, but anyone watching from our area is going to know what I'm talking about. Central Hudson went to a system where they only come and check our meters once a month. And that means that every other month they can give us an estimate. People were eventually getting bills, Dave, of $900, $1,000 for a month.
Oh my goodness.
And it became a situation that was untenable for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
You had to pay. So that's something that Dee Dee Barrett was obviously directly overseeing, right, Stephan? That type of gouging happening to the constituents.
Right. And she's a chair of the Energy Committee. And that's you can be a chair and do nothing, or you can be a chair and do something. And as a person in the majority and the chair of the committee, you have the ability to make change. And here's the thing. I can go to Albany as a member of the minority, and I guarantee you I'll be more effective because I'll speak up and I'll tell people what we're going through, what it means when our electric bill shoots up and you get a $900 electric bill, and now you say, you know what, I can have my kid play Little League, but I can't have my kid play basketball this winter, or I can't have my kid do the additional training that I wanted her to get to be able to improve her skill set. So you start to make choices that are more and more difficult, and some people make choices that it's not just can I have my kid in sports? It's what are we going to eat tonight?
Yep.
And they go from. I was talking to somebody recently, and what he basically said is people are eating poorly because they can't afford to eat right.
Yeah.
So people can't afford to buy organic. They can't afford to buy food sometimes. So they buy what's available, what's affordable, and sometimes it's just not really what's right. So when our energy costs go up, it takes money out of our pockets just to exist. And as a member of the majority, as a chair of the Energy Committee, you can't allow that to happen. You can't allow that to happen to us. And if it does happen, you should go down fighting. And it shouldn't be a quiet no or a wink and a nod and like I need to do this to keep my base in what's in purple district. Mm-hmm. I need to appear to be conservative. Actually fight for something. Stand up for something. Meet like 12 years. There should be accomplishment after accomplishment after accomplishment. What you have is people in power that will tell you, we got a person that's running for president that will tell you, this is what I'm going to do if I'm elected. But if you're already in office, do it. Pull the trigger. And here's the thing. And if they won't let you do it, jump and shout, make noise. And that's the thing is that I will go to Albany, and will I accomplish everything? No. But I'm not going to be quiet. I'm not going to shut my mouth. I'm not going to fall in line. And some people, Republicans will tell you I'm going to reach across the aisle and work with the Democrats and come to consensus. Here's the thing. Sometimes, yeah, but other times, no. Other times you just stand up and say what needs to be said.
Mm-hmm. Everyone as a conservative, yes. Yes,
and there's got to be a voice that people hear. Bail reform was insane. And it's still
we'll get to bail reform. That's on the docket. We will get there. So
back to the economy, though. The economy. When I was a kid, I'd go to the grocery store to Stop and Shop right here on Route 9. Now it's a super Stop and Shop. But I used to go with my mom. We'd get two carts of groceries filled to the top, and maybe she'd spend $100. Yep. Now you might walk out with a bag of groceries for $100. Maybe not. I'll go to the store. I'll come home with stuff, and I'll spend $100. My wife will say, "What'd you get?" I'm like, I got some soda. I got some cold cuts, and I got some grapes. Yeah,
I looked at it the other day. I got 6 bananas and 2 bags of the 100 pack of the little snack bags. It was over $10. I'm like, these 3 items. Yep. I know each one of those snack bags costs like 2 cents to make. The cardboard is like 5 cents for them, and these bananas are certainly not
the only things that I've found that are like, I mean, they've gone up from what they were, but are still like affordable is like rice and pasta. Like you can get that and you can still do that, but you don't want to eat that every day. That's not a balanced meal. So.
Right, but pasta, it's like $2 to $4. It used to be 50 cents to $1. So it's doubled in price. It's just still affordable, and it is. You don't want to eat SpaghettiOs. You don't want ramen noodles in a hot pot. We're not college kids in a dorm.
So I quickly want to just throw in here our super fan Nachi, throw in that word has it that they are eating cats right now. So sorry, that's the type of podcast you're on, Stephan.
Right. We're not going into that tonight. No. That was covered last night.
But yeah. So overall, when it comes to the economy, so obviously Dee Dee Barrett has not been doing a good job over there helping us with the economy, right? Now, hopefully you get in there and you're still going to be in the minority for the moment. Hopefully we can rally in New York State, which is bizarre to me that we have the New York Young Republicans is one of the strongest youth Republican groups in the country. And the fact that we haven't been able to do much and flip this state more, in a better way is surprising to me. But you're going to go there and you're going to do your thing. If somehow we get the majority, one of the things that is a absolute thorn in my side, and I think a lot of, true conservative leaning individuals is Republicans are really great at being conservative when they know they can't get anything done. But when it comes to time we have a majority and we want to get things done, all of a sudden it becomes, we can't do that because then if they get in power, they'll use it. So what are the assurances that you could give us that you're going to stay you and you're going to stay governing the same way, whether majority or minority?
So I have a track record. I've been in local government for 20, 25 years. Yeah. And my thing is I don't like to spend other people's money. I'll spend my money the way I'm comfortable spending my money. Sometimes my wife will tell me I spend too much of my money, or buy things that don't make sense. I got too many pairs of sneakers or fancy flip-flops. But that being said, I don't like to spend your money. And if I'm going to spend your money, I got to be able to tell you how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. I was a member of the finance committee for most of my time on the town board, the chair for almost all of it. And I could tell everybody every penny we spent, where we spent it, how we spent it, and why we spent it. And that's the thing, is that when you're in charge, you have actual responsibility, you have to govern. And I like that. I embrace that. And so to be in the majority, you stick to what you do. You don't go and start to spend things and become different from what you were because now you have power. You got to have core values. And the thing that's always guided me in politics is we work really hard for what we get. And we need to be able to keep as much of it, enjoy as much of it ourselves as possible. There was a point where we were in negotiations with one of the unions and they wanted 100% medical. And the question I asked the person across the table was, show me somebody other than a police officer in our community that has 100% medical, and then we can talk. But if you want people to pay for something that they don't have themselves, give you a perk that they can't afford and they don't get, that's not appropriate to me. And it doesn't matter whether I can afford it or not. It's whether the people that I represent can afford it. And he didn't like me, and he thought I was being a jerk, but I wasn't. It's not about me. It's about the people you represent, and it's about your community, and you got to care about something and stand for something. So, I haven't changed. I am what I am. I'm pretty straightforward, and so I'd love to be in the majority in Albany. I don't know that we'll ever get there. I think one of the shameful things is that on the Republican side, when they lost the majority of the Senate, they just gave up. It's like they just went home and stopped playing the game.
Yep. Yeah,
and
like then.
they lost the ability to check the craziness.
Yeah.
That's when bail reform came in and all these other things that came in that you said, you know what? It wasn't perfect, but there was at least a little bit of a filter when the Republicans had the Senate. Definitely. When they lost it, they lost it, and then they lost it big. And then they turned around as if they could never get it back. And sometimes they don't really fight for the things that matter. Each district, each candidate has got to fight, and eventually you gain ground. And I do think that there's a certain point where it starts to turn. I do think society's got to turn a little bit right now because
voting records matter, right? Even if you know you're going to lose, you bring that bill up, you vote on it, you make the other side defend it so that next time you're coming around, or even if a fresh face comes in and they can point and say, hey, this Senate in the minority proposed X, Y, and Z. They all voted. The Democrats all voted against it. This is what it would have done for your community. I'm going to go in and try and do something similar. Vote me in. And that's, the battle there is, like you said, if you give up, now all of a sudden you're basically ceding that, well, the Democrats were right all along. We might as well not fight. Let's just give them what they want.
Right. And Alex and Dave, the one thing I've never done is voted present for a vote, because you're not
the Alexander Ocasio-Cortez.
You're not
on the floor and then vote present when you're there.
You're not elected to punt. And I've had, even on the town board, I've had time for people they'll abstain. And my thing is, if town board, you have 6 wards. If one person abstains, that chunk of the population is not represented in that vote. Mm-hmm. So if it is a conflict, it is a conflict. But when you don't vote on something, when you don't run it up the flagpole, you're not representing people. So you take a stand, you take a position, and you justify it. Over time, you can evolve, and that's fine. But you do have to take positions, and you do have to vote. And there is value in running things up the flagpole, not just to make people uncomfortable, to show people that this is the right way. This is what we should be doing. You can go ahead and vote for what you want to vote for, but I'm not going to let you do it quietly. I'm not going to shut my mouth. And again, whether you're in the majority on the town board, there were times when the majority didn't want what I wanted, and it was a Republican majority, and I still ran it up a flagpole because I felt the conversation needed to be had. And there'd be a conversation behind closed doors. I said, no, we're going to go out there. The best thing that ever happened was we started televising our meetings.
Yeah.
Everything you do should be out in the light of day. Let people see what you're doing, see what you're saying. Yeah. Don't be afraid to take a position and speak. And
when you get in, if you have anything, and I'm saying if because you're getting in, we're going to make sure that freaking happens. But when you get in, if there's ever anything you're battling for and you want to get the light of day, I don't care what guest we have on. We'll let you pop on, do a quick 15-minute hit or whatever it is, get your voice out there. So now it can, we don't have millions we connect to, but has the ability to get to millions from here.
And I appreciate what you do, because the news sources and the sources of information have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And the problem is the news, when growing up, the news reported what was happening. Now they create what's happening.
And the broadcasters maybe leaned left, but they did a good job of couching it, right? They didn't bring it out to light as much. Now, if you don't have a lean, you're not, they won't put you on TV. It's
lean.
Terrible.
If you don't have a full-on falling over to the one side, they don't.
But it's become entertainment. It's not news.
Yeah.
And the problem is a lot of people still don't seem to understand that, and they don't get it. And if you hear a quote and you don't go to the source and listen to what they said or read what they wrote, it's usually taken out of context.
Yeah.
And the lean is not like it's way more than a lean. And it's unfortunate because we should have independent sources of information. We don't. We don't even really have a local newspaper anymore. The Mid-Hudson News, sort of. The Poughkeepsie Journal, not really. There's no local news source. So people locally have no idea. They have no idea. And
we have Tom Sipost on WKIP in the morning. Outside of Tom, it's really no great source for the Hudson Valley.
Funny though, because even if you want to take it out of politics, because everything news-wise has become entertainment. If you want to take it out of politics and make it even simpler, look at SportsCenter, what it used to be on ESPN.
It was great.
It used to be straight up highlights and news of what's going on. Then all of a sudden, First Take comes out, and now everything on ESPN is just two guys jabbering about, making the biggest hot takes possible for entertainment's sake. Yep. Similar thing happened there as to what happened in news sites, except news sites are completely politicized and now either far left or far right generally.
So, Stephan, I don't know this answer. Is what goes on in the New York State Assembly and Senate, is there a live stream anywhere for those, or are they closed doors?
There is. There is on the votes and things like that. But really what you still get, I think, in Albany politics, it used to be three guys in a room, and I still think that's what you're kind of getting up there. And I don't know that we have enough people on our side or either side that is standing up and saying, like, yeah, this isn't correct. And again, that's what I say. I don't need friends in Albany. I need friends in Poughkeepsie and Dutchess County and Columbia County. So when I originally ran for the town board, I promised people that if you elect me, the one thing I will be is honest. Yeah. And that's the thing is I've always held true is that I'll be honest. There'll be at least one honest person in the room, and that will make the rest of them, at least while I'm standing in the room, either be honest or curb what they're trying to do. So I think we need honest people in Albany. We don't need politicians. I understand politics, and I know how to work that. I know how to work the politics of things, and I know how to work with people. And it's not that I'll never reach across the aisle. It's not that I'll never try to get things accomplished. There are things that, some of these issues, if somebody reasonable had stepped in and said, hey, here's some things we got to think about, and here's some better ways to do this, and you present good ideas and let them go where they should go. I've always said, I don't need to cut the ribbon. I want to see the ribbon get cut. So I want to see good things happen and accomplishments occur. I don't care if I ever get credit for anything that I do, as long as good things happen around me and for my community.
We got you here, Stephan. We got you. If you're involved, we'll make sure we give you a shout out.
Yeah. Real quick. Nate asked this question.
Okay.
And I want to know, he said the state's almost all red outside of NYC. Is that true?
The city pockets are pretty blue. Your Syracuse, your Buffalo, Newburgh, Poughkeepsie, they're pretty blue. And that actually leans into something that, so Nate, for the most part, your rural areas are pretty red.
What you have is, the problem that you have is, COVID in particular, you had blue move up north and relocate into our communities.
Yep.
And then what you have is people like Sean Patrick Maloney, Dee Dee Barrett, and some of these other politicians. The line was too long down in New York City to get online to run for office, so they came up here to run for office. So Dee Dee Barrett lived on the Upper East Side. She will claim that she lived here forever. I've been involved in town politics for 30 years. I've never met her. I've never seen her. And I've been to all kinds of things, Republican, Democrat, and town stuff, town days, parades, functions. I've never seen her.
I've never seen Dee Barrett at anything that has to do positive with the area, even when with anything going on, to be quite honest. I've been up here. I started at Marist at 2007, and I basically was home for maybe 2 years. I've been here for a long time now, and I knew Dee Dee was there, but she never had, her face is not around publicly anywhere outside of, I guess she basically lives in Albany. So, Stephan, you have a challenge of trying to get that blue pocket of the city of Poughkeepsie. What has been your strategy?
Actually, the city of Poughkeepsie is not in my district.
Oh, City of Poughkeepsie is not in it? Okay, you're not. Okay, that's fine. We're good now. Get out of here, City of Poughkeepsie. That's good. Because, hey, listen, and, Dave, you understand the cities. Having a city is an uphill battle, right? Yes. It's an uphill battle whenever you
uphill battle is actually.
I do have the city of Hudson is in my district.
The city of Hudson's there.
Pocket.
So in the end, what is your outreach for cities? Because obviously those have usually been places where Republicans give up. They don't even try. They don't go door to door. They don't try and do outreach. And I feel like that's one of our biggest pitfalls. We're missing millions because we just won't even go knock on some doors in some apartment buildings.
Well, I think part of it is that I am not, Dee Dee Barrett is Dee Dee Barrett, for better or worse. She's a person of means who came from Beverly Hills through the Upper East Side of Manhattan, I think, lived in Millbrook and now lives somewhere up in Columbia County. Really nice property, great. But I'm born and raised here. I'm a local guy. My friends are regular people. My family are regular people. So
you're still very involved in the town. You coached my U5 team last year when I couldn't be there. You're still very involved.
Well, that's the thing. I'm also involved in our local community center.
Yeah.
And got involved to renovate that. We raised $100,000 and completely rehabbed it and put it back online. My thing is I'm part of this community, so I can connect to people that wouldn't necessarily connect to a Republican going into a city atmosphere. I do what I believe is right, and I care about people, and I want to make a difference. And they don't have to agree with every last bit of my politics, but they can understand that if they need help, I'll help them. If they need somebody to listen to what's going on in the world, I'll listen. And if they need somebody to speak on their behalf, I'll do that. I'm an attorney by trade, so I speak on behalf of people. And I represent people. And I take that to heart. And I'm attorney and counselor at law. So you represent them, but you also counsel them. So a lot of what you do is you talk to people and you try to help them through their situations and figure out ways to make things better. And whether it's a way to solve their specific problem or a way to get legislation passed that will help a larger group of people, as an elected official, you have to connect to human beings. And that's where you knock on the door, you ring the doorbell, and you talk to them. And like I said, of all the doors I've been to, none of them have ever had a knock from Dee Dee Barrett. And the problem with that is that, is she too busy? Is it something that's beneath her? How do you represent people if you don't know who they are? If you don't look them in the eye and talk to them? So if I go into the city of Hudson or anywhere else where it's blue and I knock on their door and I talk to them, they may not like me because I'm a Republican, but I don't think they're going to dislike me. Because I'm just I'm a person, and I'll talk to them and I'll give them the respect to listen to what they have to say. They will have a point of view and I will have a point of view. I'll be honest with them and we'll work through it. So I think the more people that I have the ability to connect with, the more likely it is I'll get their votes. And that's really what the struggle is here. If I can get enough people that see me and talk to me and hear me, I think I can win this race and represent the people of Dutchess and Columbia County in a way that they haven't been represented before. Where it's us, and we have a voice, and it's not me, and I'm not trying to be a big shot in Albany or play politics because I got nothing else to do. I'm going up there to represent them, and then I'm coming home and going to bed at night. I'm going to see my kids, tuck them in, check in on them, help them with their homework, and live the life that I'm living. But I'm going to go up to Albany every single day that I need to be up there and take care of the business that we need taken care of and take care of the people that we need to be taken care of. So that's where the blue versus the red if we all just get back to September 11th, 2001, where we were New Yorkers, we were Americans, we were human beings, that like vote for the person. Yeah. Look at the person in the eye, figure out who they are. If you trust them, vote for them. And my thing is, give me a shot. If you're on the other side, give me a shot and see what I can do. 12 years is a lot of time. 12 years is too much time for someone who hasn't accomplished anything for us of significance. And it's time that we have a different voice, a different person, a different approach, and just basic representation. That's what the country was founded on.
And you said something there that I think rings true, especially in today's day and age, because a lot of people that we see in the political light on the news nowadays don't even function like human beings. Like it's like you can barely connect with them at all. So it's just weird how so many people have gotten to so many statuses where they don't even seem like they want to represent the people that they're supposed to represent, or they want to connect to the people that they want to connect to. And I think that's a very prominent thing that we have to get back to, like you said.
Yeah, I think a lot of them don't even like the people they represent. And that's the thing. These are my people. These are my people. These are the people I grew up with. I went to school with. And to this day, I got friends from all walks of life, varied friends, and it's not because, I mean, I got a friend who's a CEO of a publicly traded corporation, and I got a friend who sits in his garage after work and has like a dozen beers and falls asleep with a buzz. And you know what?
That guy's an American.
But that's the thing, is that you don't need to have. You don't need to feel like you're better than people. You don't need to feel like you're more important than people. You just need to be a person and a human being and connect with people. And again, I do think that some of these people that represent us, not only do they not know who we are, they don't even like us because they feel like they're above us. Yeah. They live in big houses, drive fancy cars, they fly first class, and they never want to be directly involved with us. They go to resorts that we can't afford to go to so that they don't have to sit next to us by the pool or at the beach. Yep. And my thing is, I'll sit with Bobby in his garage, or I'll go have dinner with Sal. Both of them, I enjoy their company.
That's a good campaign slogan. I'll sit next to you at Buffalo Wild Wings. We don't have to be at the Bellagio in the VIP.
Well, Dee Dee Barrett had this thing where she was doing a diner tour, where she was going to diners and having conversations with people. And
Jersey's diners, baby.
I've never seen her at a diner. And here's the thing. It's like anything else. Like the politician shows up with somebody standing next to him to take a picture, and then they're like, "All right, let's get out of here." Yeah,
how controlled was that, right? Like it was okay. You guys need to leave because Dee Dee Barrett's coming. Only you guys are allowed to stay. Photo op. Okay, you guys can come back in now. Okay, now we're good. Like it was something like that because she's high profile. So, and one of the things I like that you said. You'll go into these blue areas, not even caring that they're blue, just talking and hashing out some issues with maybe a person willing to talk. And one of the things I've said before on the show is we need more people like you willing to do that. Because I think a lot of Republicans just look and go, that's deep blue, don't care. And the thing is, you do it once, maybe they look and they're like, Stephan's crazy, I don't care, I don't like Republicans. You go back a second time and it's like, hey, listen, I got elected, but I'm here again. Nice. What's changed about your life? Anything positive? All right, vote for me next time. I'll continue to do more. Maybe they won't vote for you again. By the third, fourth time, they're going to start to think, this person actually cares a little bit. They keep on showing up at my door. And that's huge. That personableness of just keep on showing up and not giving up on areas, I think is something that's big. That we need to start doing more.
Yeah, and because real quick, because we have this whole thing of a Ben Shapiro coin, like facts don't care about your feelings kind of thing. But people vote on their feelings. People actually very much care about their feelings. Like the facts are the facts, but people will push away. We see it all the time. Just think about anyone you know. People will push away facts because something else makes them feel better, and that's just a part of humanity. But you can tap into what people are feeling when you go and actually connect to them and see what they want to actually happen.
100%.
And to use one of my soccer analogies, there will be referees that are very good referees, but the way they ref a game and the way they interact is less than stellar. And at the end of the game, you're not happy. There'll be referees that aren't the best referees, but they hustle up and down the field. They try their hardest. They have a smile on their face. When you say, ref, what was that? They come over, they explain it to you, and they communicate with you all the way through. And at the end of the game, they may have made mistakes with their calls. It may not have been the perfect game that they refed, but you walk away and you're like, and I'll go over and I'll thank them for their effort and for the way they communicated and interacted in a positive way. And that's where you say, you don't have to do everything perfect, but if you try hard and you mean well, you genuinely mean well, and you get it pretty close to good, I'm okay with it. And that's what I want in people that represent me, and that's what I want to be for people that I represent, where I won't always get it perfect, but I will try extremely hard. I'll try harder than everybody else. I'll represent you. I'll talk to you. I'll communicate. When I was on the town board, our meetings were Wednesday night, and I said any given Wednesday night, somebody can show up to a board meeting with better information than we had when we walked in and change the way we vote, because we should always be open to listen. And that's the thing. You should always be open to listen. There was a board member when we were working on a major project, and I invited him to every meeting about the project. And at one point he said, I'm a no. You have the votes. Why am I here? And I said, because you're a no. Because I want to know why you're a no, and I want you to tell me why you're a no, and I want you to continue to feed me the information that you have as to why you're a no. Yep. Because I don't know that it's a yes until we're all through this. Yep. So if everybody around me says yes, I'm uncomfortable because I'm making a decision and I don't know that I have all the facts and all the correct information. So you should engage people that have different opinions that you do. You should listen to people that want to say something contrary to what you have to say. And you should understand that you're not always going to be right. But if I'm dead wrong, if I was dead wrong on a Wednesday night, somebody came in with better information and I changed my vote and I convinced the rest of the board to change their vote and we did something different, that's what you want in a representative. That's what you want in an elected official. You don't want somebody that can come in and just deliver the vote every Wednesday or every voting meeting. You want somebody that's going to come in and listen and make sure that they get it right. And if for some reason they didn't, fix it. Mm-hmm. Don't be too proud to fix a mistake or correct something that wasn't correct. And to admit, somebody came into a board meeting on Wednesday night, told me something that I didn't know, and I changed my opinion. And the first thing I'll do is admit, like, you know what, I didn't realize that. And now I have better understanding. But that's what government should be. Yes. A lot of people with a lot of different opinions coming to a consensus, voting and moving on. Keep moving forward.
We should revolutionize the way people govern. After every vote or weekly, every single representative should have their own podcast where they go on and explain every single vote, explain why they voted the way they did. And it should be every single.
We gotta get them to read the thing that they're voting on.
That's the thing. They'll have to, but that's the thing. Yeah. They'll have to come and explain it. If they don't know what they're talking about, it's be as transparent as hell, and then people have access to all of that.
The amount of times people vote on something and have no idea what they just voted on. Exactly. I've seen it at town board meetings where we're voting and they're looking around trying to figure out if a yay is a good or a nay is good.
That's so embarrassing.
Right. And you should know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. And
those are the clips that we should be circulating around. Those are the clips that because the town board meeting is all on for the town. Those are the clips that we should be taking as conservatives, especially if it's a Democrat, blowing it up, putting it on there and saying this was the decision at that moment of if they said yay or nay. It had nothing to do with the bill, everything to do of should I or shouldn't I? What are the rest of the people on my team doing? Because that's what it comes down to. Is this my team doing it? I need to be a team player, which is nonsense. You're not supposed to be a team player. You're supposed to do what is right for your area.
And the team player, there was an issue. Dominic Seminario was a councilman for the second ward years ago, and he and I were polar opposites on an issue. And we fought and clashed over it for about 6 months. And at the end, we were sitting in a meeting, and Dominic realized it was cutting my way. And Dominic said, everyone gets up and walks out. Dominic comes over, shakes my hand, said, "Congratulations, I hope it works." And he put the sword down. And he taught me a lot in that moment because I was so used, when I was younger, I was so used to, you're fighting for the cause. You're fighting for the cause. You're fighting for this. And he showed me that you can fight and you can push and you try to make the result better, and then you go out and you work as a group and you continue to govern, and it's not petty, it's not personal.
No,
you can have a position, but you can be a team player and disagree with me 9 out of 10 times and still be a team player. Because
that's different though, because he had something, he knew what he was arguing and he had a position. So his difference there in, okay, I argued my position, everyone else favored this, I'm going to get along to keep along, right? And that's different than, I have no idea what's going on, I'm just going to do what Bobby, Sally, and Timmy are doing, because Bobby, Sally, and Timmy have the same initial next to their name for a political.
Yeah, no, I'm using Dominic as an example of what's good in politics.
Yeah.
Where you
that is good.
You fight through an issue, and then you come to a consensus, and then you work towards getting it accomplished and making sure it's good.
Absolutely.
But the other side of it is the people who say, Am I voting yes or no? And they start looking at each other, and you're like, Jesus Christ, you don't know what you're voting on.
No.
You literally don't know what you're voting on.
And doesn't that make you want to get on the mic and just look and be like, we're voting now. Do you guys know what this bill does? Like, I wish.
And I've seen it on both sides of the aisle. So
absolutely. But it's not one side. It's not just one. There's dummies on all sides.
Yeah.
So I want to move into the next few topics because I don't want to take too much of your time up. You're busy. It's late. You want to get home to your kids. Let's jump into immigration. So first, immigration is a national topic. Obviously, we're here in New York, and people are going to go, well, you're in the Northeast. You're not near the border. You're not Texas. You're not Arizona. This isn't New Mexico. What does immigration have to do with you in Dutchess and Columbia in the 106th District? So how is immigration affecting the constituents that you want to represent?
So here's a very specific example. When everything was happening, when the southern states were starting to bus and fly the migrants out of their states, which they were getting overwhelmed. Everybody up in the Northeast said, "Well, you're bad people. You don't want all these people to come in." And all of a sudden, bigger picture than small. Martha's Vineyard, they flew a bunch of migrants in. They showed up with pies, and it was very nice and very photo ops. I think I Googled it. I think most of them were off that island by
48 hours.
Within 30 to 60 days. I think almost all of them were relocated somewhere else. So they
didn't have room in their mansions on Martha Vineyard. They didn't have all that. They have huge mansions there.
The shame of it is we all want to help people. Yeah. They claim to want to help people, but they don't want them in their front yard or their backyard or on their little island. They want them other places. They want them in Texas. They want them in Florida. So
D.D. Barrett wants them on her property over in Columbia County.
I'm sure she would not allow that.
Nope.
And that's where what they're saying is it's not honest in how they're presenting it. And then you take a look at the town of Poughkeepsie. They brought in, I think it was 60 or 80 migrants. Mm-hmm. They're young men in their 20s, and put them in the
fighting age. They are fighting age adults. That is what we will call them. They are fighting age.
They put them in the Red Roof Inn. So you put a bunch of guys in their 20s in a lousy motel.
Well, right next to Hampton, which is really, the Hampton is nice there. There is a
right next
school that goes on there.
Right next to my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right next to, right within walking distance to the elementary school. That everybody in Spank Hill, their kindergarten, first and second grade, everybody's kids go there. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Nothing against the people that came. They came here for better opportunity, a lot of them. Some of them came here for all kinds of other bad reasons. Mm-hmm. But you put them in a motel next to a neighborhood, next to an elementary school, it's a bad idea. They have nothing to do. You give them a bunch of cash. They're sitting there with just a lot of idle time. They can't work. They don't have any family around them. You're not being nice to these people. You're shuttling them around and treating them like objects and political pawns, and it's not fair to them. It's not fair to us. And then you're spending a fortune of state and federal money. And if you took the millions, and I think it's in the billions of dollars that they've spent to house migrants, give them health care, give them food, give them clothing. If you took that, Town of Poughkeepsie Soccer Club, which we're involved with, take a drop of that bucket. We could have professional trainers, not turf fields. We could have the best grass.
Yeah, beautiful fields, man. That would be. I don't know, billions. We're getting grass in a dome.
Yeah,
we're getting turf in a dome. We're beautiful there.
If you look at that and you say, Jesus, the stuff you could do for the people that are already here. And my thing is, nothing against them, but if I have to do something, I'm going to feed my kids first. I'm going to feed my family first. I'm going to feed my neighbors first. And I'm going to take care of the people in our community first. And if I can't do that well, I shouldn't invite other people in and start spending the community's money to put them into substandard conditions, into a motel that's disgusting and is substandard, and you're putting them somewhere where they're not going to want to be forever. And when the money runs out and the novelty wears off, then what? Do you bus them back to like the border? Mm-hmm. Do you fly them back to whatever their home country is, or do you just just leave them alone and walk away? And it's not fair to anybody, and it's insane the amount of money that's being spent. And then when crimes happen, all of those poor people are painted with the same brush. Mm-hmm. And it's not all of them. It's a few bad apples. If we all were responsible for the small amount of people that commit crimes in our community, we'd all look bad. But now you take that group and you say they're all horrible, they're all criminals, they're all this, and it was not most of their faults. They came here because they thought they'd have an opportunity. They opened the borders. New York State said, "Oh, we'll take them. We'll take everybody." Yeah. We can't afford the people that we have here. Why would we take everybody?
So I'll say this, Dave. Y'all let you make your point after, but Stephan's being nice. I don't have to be as nice, and this is going to bite me in the ass when I eventually have to run. When I do want to run.
You don't have to say what you're going to say.
I'm not going to be nice about this because here's the thing. Number one, they are criminals. They're coming across this country illegally, and the correct term is they are criminal illegal aliens. So I am not going to give them a pass, and especially when they are 20-year-old fighting age males. We're all guys. If we were in our 20s, had nothing to do, what are we going to do? We're going to go cause mischief. We're going to go do some dumb stuff, and we're going to create problems because guys, we adventure. And when we're bored, I don't want a bored, idle 20-something-year-old male near my daughters. I don't want a bored, idle 20-something-year-old male near any of the young ladies, whether it is my daughters who are younger, high school, college age, near any of them. And I mean, this may be heartless. I don't care if they came here with good intentions. They don't belong here. There is ports of entry that they need to be, and don't get me wrong, the Biden administration, Harris administration, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if Biden's there anymore, but he wore a Trump hat today, so good on Biden. But the administration is inviting them in. They are getting flown here because one thing Albany has signaled is we want them all. We want them all. Albany has signaled that we want them here. But at the same time, I still do not give them a pass because they don't belong here. And I know you have to be a little bit better. You're trying to get to Albany to solve the problems there, but I can say it. And eventually when I do run for political office, they're going to play this and be like, get the hell out. But overall, like the thing is, it's a crappy problem for you as someone who wants to represent this area to have to jump in and tackle right away. Because the issue is they are here. They are here. And that is going to be something that's going to be your problem to deal with from day one that you get in there. Sorry. So, Dave, go ahead.
Real quick, because I've already said a bunch of stuff on immigration on the show before. So, yeah. But this topic always pisses me off because one of the things that you said, Stephan, right in there is you said the morally right and the natural thing as a person to do is I'd rather feed my family and whoever else around me that I know first before I do anything else. And that is just a correct thing to do. There is no real gray area in that matter. And the thing is, when you invite people in and you tell people, oh, you could just come here and we'll give you cash and we'll give you a place to stay. You could do whatever you want to do. You could find a way to do whatever you want to do. It's the most immoral, reprehensible thing you could do, not only to them, but to the people that you represent, to anyone in that area. It's ridiculous. And it always bothers me, this topic, because there is a way to have good immigration, legal immigration. Obviously, we're a land of immigrants. But what has happened for a while now, and what is kicked up ever like since 10 years ago, it has been insane. And any sane country and sane area would just say no to a lot of these things.
So, Stephan, when you get in there, what is your plan that you're bringing to Albany to try and curtail what we're currently seeing with the spread of illegal immigration all the way up to where we are?
Well, we gotta. The border's got to be
closed.
Can't really do anything about that.
Even if it's temporarily, permanently closed, maybe not forever, but even if it's a temporary,
got to be controlled. We got to stop inviting people in that we can't afford to. If you can't afford a house guest, don't invite them over. Mm-hmm. We can't do this. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, we got to also push the idea that we need things. We don't need the dome, the retractable dome necessarily for our soccer club. Yeah. We need things. We really need things in our community. Yeah. There's things that there's got to be priorities here that we focus on, and somebody's got to stand up and say, you know what, great. Once we pay for all these things, you can start accepting people into our state and start giving them free housing and free everything else. But right now, the people that we have here don't have adequate housing. The people that we have here have to struggle to get their kids an education. The people that we have here have to struggle to pay their mortgage. So until we can take care of our own, somebody's got to step up and talk about the priorities that they have in Albany and prioritize the people that are here before they prioritize people that are just coming through the door. And I don't know what the plan is, but there's also got to be an exit strategy where you brought these people in. What are you going to do with them? Don't tell me what you're going to do from now through December. Tell me what you're going to do from now until the day that they either get citizenship, get a job, pay their bills, or head back home or head somewhere else. Explain to me what you're going to do. There's got to be a plan of action and an exit strategy. How do you got us into this mess? How do we get out of it? And what are you going to do for us and for them? And again, it is like the majority of them are human beings that deserve something. Some of them are criminals. But no matter what, you got to figure out what we're going to do with these human beings, where they're going to go. You can't leave them in the Red Roof Inn on Route 9 in Poughkeepsie from now to the 20-year-olds can't retire on public assistance here in Poughkeepsie. They should have an opportunity to go somewhere and do something with their lives. Right now, we're shelving them while we play political games. We got to step up and say, we have priorities. We have things that we have to do. We have bills we have to pay. We have people we have to take care of. Let's do that. And in the meantime, figure out what we're going to do with these people and get them to somewhere that's a more permanent solution to their situation. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm a lawyer. I follow rules. I like rules. So the immigration rules, if you don't like what they are, change them. Yes. But in the meantime, we follow the rules. Yep. And most of what was done in the prior administration, this administration, the rules haven't changed drastically. No. It's just the enforcement or non-enforcement of them that's changed. And my thing is, don't not enforce the law. If you don't like the law, change it. Otherwise, enforce the law. If you don't like the speed limit, raise it or lower it. If you don't like the zoning laws, change it. But to not enforce something because you feel right now we don't want to do that as a policy matter. Change the law if you want to change it. Get enough people to vote for it, and then do that. But in the meantime, enforce the rules that we have. Enforce the laws that we have, and that's a basic thing, and that will get things under control. But we have a government, federal and state, that doesn't enforce the rules that are on the books, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Nope. As a lawyer, as a person, when we're playing a soccer game, I understand the rules. I tell my kids to play by the rules. If the referee's good, they enforce the rules. Everything else works out. Everything else works out really well. When someone doesn't follow the rules, that's when everybody gets upset. The referee makes mistakes. The other team doesn't play fair. People get upset. But if everybody follows the rules, you play a game, and if you win or you lose, you're like, okay, that's the way it is. Yeah. In life and in government, we have rules. If we all follow the rules, we're okay. Yep. And if they want to change the rules, they have to have a conversation of it. Don't sign an executive signing a piece of paper saying we're not going to follow that rule today. Exactly. And
that's a dictatorship. Yep. So I propose that we build a wall around the 106th district. You spearhead that. I'll start getting the contractors. Let's do it.
Here's what I propose. We just make the 106th district so good and such a shining example of the way it could be that people that want to be here will be here. People that don't want to be here will go somewhere else. But we'll be an example of how you do it right, how you get it right. And my thing is always, I'm not going to be here forever, but I want to leave it better than when I found it. Mm-hmm. So you go in and you work to make it better, and you work to improve it each day, and each effort, each issue, you work to make it better, and you move the ball down the field, and we're all better off. So that's the thing. 106, we don't have to build a wall. We just got to make it so good that they can't screw it up. They can't screw it up if we make it good.
This is my audition to like join Stephan's campaign, and now he's like, "Get this guy's far away from my campaign." I'm gonna walk around being like, "Stephan's gonna build a wall."
Yeah.
You want to come work? You don't have a job? Let's get a brick. Let's go. Let's build a wall around 106. So, the last topic I want to jump into, you mentioned it a few times, bail reform. For people that don't know, what is bail reform, and when did it come into action?
Bail reform, it came into action, I believe it was right around 2019, 2020.
Yeah, it's pretty recent.
And it basically got rid of cash bail for most crimes. You have to do something really bad now to have to post bail and be put in jail. And here's the thing, there was a belief by some that too many people are going to jail based on finances, and they felt that it was unfair. I was a town judge in the town for 5 years, and I didn't grow up wanting to be a judge. I didn't go chasing after that. The opportunity arose, and I took the position, and I really enjoyed it, because the thing that I realized is you could just sit there and dispense justice and put people in jail or let everybody out and just like take one side or the other. Or you could, each time a person walks through that court, it's a human being, and figure out why they're there. And before I took the bench, I met with the DA, the public defender, and the probation officer from the court. And I said, it's not my court, it's our court. And the name of the court is Justice Court. So our job is to figure out what justice is. Sometimes it will be adversarial. Sometimes we'll work together to figure out a solution. But human beings come through there. And if we can figure out why they're coming through, and some of them, they just got to go to jail. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Others shouldn't have been there in the first place because the facts and circumstances don't merit charges. And then there's a whole bunch of people that they're broken for some reason. If you could figure out how to fix people versus just cut them loose or punish them, but fix them to the point where they don't come back, they're better off, society's better off, we're all better off, and justice has been served. So bail reform, what they did was they took the authority away from the judges. So you and I vote for people to be our local judge, and our state level judge, and our federal judges get appointed, but we vote for people to be judges. They took that authority away from the judges to make decisions because they didn't trust those people to make those decisions that the law says can. So there were times I put somebody in jail because they needed to go to jail because they committed crimes.
Yes.
And then there were other times where the ability to put them in jail or put them on probation or put them on electronic monitoring was enough to convince them to go into rehab or to get help or to get psychiatric treatment. And I had really good people working in the court with me that helped show me the way, but the ability to have the judge make the decision means that if you get the right person for the job, they can figure out what justice is and how to dispense it. When you take away bail, the judge is not doing anything. People don't even have to show up any longer. Yep. If they don't show up, the court has got to go looking for them and say, hey, you missed your court date. Before, when they didn't show up, I'd say, listen,
there's a bench
you didn't
warrant.
show up, there's a bench warrant. Yeah. And when they'd come in, if they'd explain it, I'd say, all right, I'm going to vacate the warrant and send you home. If they said, I didn't show up because I didn't feel like coming to court, I'd say, okay, you know what, then you go to jail so that we make sure you're at your next court date. Yeah. There was a process. I talked to each person. I went out and I did arraignments all hours. I did arraignments at the hospital. I did arraignments in holding cells. I did arraignments wherever I had to do them. And one of the things I want to do was I want to look that defendant in the eye and know who they were and get an understanding of who they were and why they were there. And the people that needed help, I wanted to help. The people that just needed to go to jail, I wanted to put in jail. And I thought the toughest thing in my life was going to be to put a human being in jail, but they put themselves there.
Yeah.
They put themselves there. Yep. Now we don't even have that option. Our judges don't have that option.
Crazy.
You can go out and shoplift, and you don't go to jail. And what's happened is, Alex, Dave, and Stephan, we go to Walgreens and we want to buy something. If it's worth more than a few bucks, it's locked. Yep. It's locked up.
It's insane.
So those of us who follow the rules can't get anything because everything's locked up, because otherwise the people who could care less walk in, steal it, and walk out the front door. And the clerks are told, leave them alone.
Yep. And that's all places now. Just don't worry.
Right. Which is insane.
And also, like, it hampers our police officers. We had Allison Esposito on a little while ago running against Pat Ryan, and her being a police officer, she like talked about some things like this, and it hampers them completely because what's the point of arresting someone for shoplifting anymore? Because you're going to bring them and you're going to bring them to the jail. They're going to get out because there is no cash bail, so there's no reason to bring them in front of a judge. And then you're going to see them again doing it again later that evening. Right. So there's no point to it, and it really stops our police officers who, for the most part, want to do their jobs. They want to go there. They want to be, they want to protect and serve. But they sit there and they look at it and they go, what am I going to put myself in danger for? What if this person's violent? What if this person has a gun and I'm going to bring them to the jail for them to get out for no reason? I want to go home and see my family. There's nothing for me to do here.
Exactly. And the respect for law enforcement has been lost in this process. And what used to when somebody came in and they were charged with whatever they were charged with, and one of the charges was resisting arrest, I almost inevitably put them in jail. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I would say to the people when they came in was, listen, regardless of what you think was done right or wrong out in the field, you're going to come into court, and in the light of day, we will get it right. But when you decide that you're going to disregard what an officer tells you to do and take it into your own hands, you put everybody at risk. And now you have an officer with a gun and a badge that is now in fear for their life, and you put everybody at risk, and bad things can happen. So I'd send them over to the jail, because you got to sleep on that. You got to think that through and understand that you can't do that. Nowadays, they don't care. They commit the crimes. They're not going to jail. They disregard the officer.
So they have no reason to
jail. Right. And that's the problem. And like I said, you go into Walgreens, you want to buy razors, you got to ask somebody to unlock it. When I had a guy one time, he was in Adams, and he shoplifted. He stole a ribeye, lobster tails, and shrimp.
Hey, at least it was good. Good
stuff. Well, that's what I said. I said you had to make things a really nice meal, but you didn't get money. So, here's the thing. I'm not going to put you in jail. They recoup the stuff, but you're gonna be coming to court because you can't do that. If you or I want that, we got to go work, save the money, buy that. This guy went in and he grabbed him, and I literally said to him, I said, you had the makings of a really nice meal. I would have liked you to invite me over for dinner versus being in court with you, but you're supposed to buy those things.
And it's crazy because how many times have we heard those stories and we see it? It's gone on social media. I haven't seen one in a while of, you see this mother, she shoplifts a bunch of things from a grocery store, and then when the cop comes, they find out why. And the mother's like, I'm just trying to feed my kids. I can't afford any of this. And the cop takes out his wallet, pays for the whole thing, says, I'm not putting you in jail. I'm not arresting you. You're just trying to feed your family. And that's a discretion of a cop, and we cheerlead that. But again, if I'm a cop, why am I getting involved in any of that anymore? There's no reason to. They don't like me anyway.
There was a guy who got arrested for stealing a coat, and it was in the dead of winter. It was 5 below, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. He came into court, and he didn't really have a big rap sheet, but he was a homeless guy. Mm-hmm. Or, he had substandard housing, whatever the term is these days. And the assistant district attorney said, "Judge, may I approach?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said he stole a jacket. It was freezing out last night. He would have probably froze to death without the jacket. And I'd like to make a motion to dismiss. I'm like, that's fine. And my question was, did he keep the jacket? No, I didn't. But my thing was, I kind of would have liked to buy the guy the jacket. Sitting on the bench, I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Justice, there's laws, but justice doesn't always, it's not black and white. Mm-hmm. It's not crystal clear that
case by case.
Right. You dispense justice the way you think it's appropriate. So this guy, in order to not freeze to death, stole a jacket. And you know what? He doesn't go to jail for that, because it was a horrible situation, and we figured out a way to move through that. With bail reform, you take away a lot of the judge's authority and responsibility. And I felt like you put on that robe, you have the authority, you have the responsibility. You go there and you take it seriously. And a human being's life is hanging in the balance. There was a woman one time, her son got arrested for, I think it was a driving violation and possession of a controlled substance. And the mom was there. It was after hours. She's crying, and her son was probably in her mid-20s. Mm-hmm. And after I sent her to the jail. I went over to her and I said, "Are you headed to the jail to bail him out?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Do me a favor. I said, let me ask you a question. Has that worked?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Has bailing him out of everything worked?" Yep. She said, "No." And I said, "All right, do me a favor. The probation officer in my court, Lori Mikas, was a phenomenal person." I said, "She will meet with him on Monday. It's Sunday. She'll meet with him tomorrow. Give her the opportunity to meet with him and figure out a program to try to get him back on track. Don't bail him out yet. He'll be okay. He'll be there overnight. He'll be okay. We're going to be back in court on Monday. I won't leave him there forever, but give us the opportunity to do something different here. And she didn't bail him out. And the case resolved probably about 2 or 3 months later. He went into treatment. When he came back in, he looked like a different person. I don't know where he is now, but at least for the moment, we helped the human being get back on track.
You attempted reform. You attempted true reform on a human level, which, again, is why people need to realize, I preached it on this show before, all that stuff, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump yesterday, Joe Biden, even as much as I loved our interview with Allison going into federal, none of that stuff matters to us here in the grand scheme. It matters, but not more important
not as directly
trying to do, Stephan, in a state level, not more important than what you were doing at the town level as a judge. Those are the things where you're seeing these people. There's a chance you might have seen these people in your community a few years down the road, right? As a judge in the area. So it's like there's that. So you have that there where you're looking, and it's not just a face that I'm supposed to represent. It's this is my neighbor. This is my community member. I want this person to get better because this benefits my whole community if this person reforms. It's not, well, they're in Wisconsin. I'm a federal judge that lives in Louisiana. I'm knock the gavel. I don't care. Like, it's a very different thing what you're going for. And people just need to realize that. Stephan, you've had the experience of dealing with people in this area, in the town, being very intimate in terms of justice and then also legislation. And now you're trying to get a little bit bigger, but your experience, I think, with the local, being involved in the community, is going to make it invaluable when you get to the state level. And I just think that you're going to do real well there. And I think there's a pretty prevalent question here. The guy that stole the gourmet food, Nate G, asked this. Was it Jameis Winston?
No, it wasn't Jameis. Jameis has done his stuff, but it wasn't Jameis.
No problem.
And here's the thing: it was the conversation. I had a smile on my face. The guy had a smile on his face, and the reality is, I put people in jail, talked to them, told them why, and they respected that.
Yeah.
And that's where, when you do bail reform, you take away that interaction, you take away that authority, you take away that ability to actually help. And the guy whose mother I asked not to bail him out, I don't know what happened to him, but the thing that may not have happened is he may not have taken drugs, gotten in a car, and killed someone because of the mess. So it could be the things that didn't happen as a result of those interactions. And we as human beings interact with people all the time. If we can do things to make things better each time we interact, and we're not perfect. So day in and day out, if we try to improve and progress, we can make the world around us better. And that's why I get involved, not because I wanted to wear a black dress to work and be a judge. It was because I cared and I wanted to help. And I use it as an opportunity to do something different and to help people. As a councilman, I tried to make sure the taxes are reasonable, the services were good, the parks were improved, and things had a shine to it, and that we had pride in our town. As an assemblyman, I want to do the same thing on a state level. I want to make it so that we're proud of the state that we live in, and you and I don't have to leave. We don't have to go to West Virginia or wherever else. We can stay right here in New York. Nothing against West Virginia, but we can go where we want to go. We don't have to leave because we can't afford it. But I want to make it so that the state shines again. The apple has a shine on it because it is a good place. It's a beautiful part of the country. The change of seasons are fantastic.
It's gorgeous. Hudson Valley is beautiful.
I like to travel the world, but I love to come home. I love to come home, and that's the thing. I want to continue to come home to Poughkeepsie, New York, and for all of us to be able to do that, and our kids to be able to do it if that's what they want. So that's my thing. I lean in. I don't lean out.
So, Dave, what were you going to share? And as
the reason why I have it hidden in the back, because it's not that important, but I did want to give you a good boy point, because you said hamper a couple times, and I couldn't remember myself if that was actually a word to be used in that type of way. I thought you were just getting hinder wrong, but you were right. So I just wanted to let you know that you were correct. I wanted you to feel good, because I was questioning you pretty harshly, and I was just like, is he using this correctly? So I just wanted to bring that up.
Well, Dave, I'm happy that you're here too.
Oh, hamper's not just for clothes, then.
No. And here's a really important question for you, Stephan. When you were a judge, did you at least once look at someone and say, youths, like in My Cousin Vinny, because I would not be able to resist. The moment someone used the word youths, I would have said it in that exact tenor.
I did not, but the one thing that I did when you walked in the room and the bailiff would say, "All rise," I like that. I like that. You may be seated. Yep. It was.
Does it make you feel like a priest for like a second? Like,
yeah, it was time to take, but I was like, "Oh, look at that! That's something." And what the one thing that I did do is, I mean, a lot of people came through the courts. Attorneys and different people I've known. So in the court, they called me Judge of Your Honor. But when we left the court, the attorneys, the district attorney, when we'd be in chambers or wherever, they'd call me Your Honor. I'm like, listen, my name's Stephan. You feel free to use that's my name. That's what it's always been. Mm-hmm. I get the title when we're in public, but I'm who I am. And that's as an assembly, as a judge, as a councilman, hopefully as an assemblyman, I'm still going to be Stephan. I'm the person that I am. I don't take the title more serious than it is. I appreciate the value of the office, but the reality is we're all human beings. None of us is better than the rest, and we're supposed to interact on an eye-to-eye level. So I'm not going to go up to Albany and disappear. I'm going to be Stephan from Poughkeepsie, and when you see me, it won't be Mr. Assemblyman or any of that crap, that stuff. It'll be Stephan Krakower, your neighbor, your friend, the guy who coached your kids on soccer.
I'm 100% going to call you Mr. Assemblyman every single day. So, Nate has a question. Do you think American judges should wear powdered wigs?
I do. Frank Moore, I think it was Frank Moore in the city of Poughkeepsie, for Halloween, he'd wear the powdered wig.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I like the robe and everything, the pomp and circumstance. It is. When you first put it on, you're like, oh, Jesus. But like there's value to it in
symbolism.
Like in court, there's a dress code, and people would come in flip-flops or shorts or whatever, and the court enforced the dress code to the point where people were getting turned away. And I told the court, I'm like, listen, there was one day where a guy came in wearing a pair of pants and the tags were on it, and I told his attorney to approach. I'm like, your client's pants have tags on it, and he said, yeah, he came wearing shorts. So he went over to Kmart before they tore Kmart down. He bought a pair of pants. He can't afford to keep them. He just bought them to wear to court. And I said, listen, next time if he's wearing shorts, like, make sure he gets in. And I told the court staff, I said, unless they're completely inappropriate, if that's the case, turn away. But otherwise, if they're wearing flip-flops or shorts or whatever, you can hold them till the end, but don't send them home, because they got bench warrants, and it was crazy. People were coming in with bench warrants. I'm like, why weren't you here? And they said, well, I was here, but I was wearing shorts. But a guy would walk in, he'd have flip-flops, and he'd hear like, psh, 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 psh. He'd walking up the aisle, and when he'd get up there, I'm like, nice flip-flops. And he's like, oh, sorry. I'm like, yeah.
A little decorum.
And I do this. I'm like, hey, I dressed up for this. Next time, you should dress up for this.
Yeah.
It is kind of important. It's important. Because your freedom is on the line here. So dress like it matters. But I wanted to make sure that there was justice served. But I do like the wearing the powdered wig, the pomp and circumstance. There's value to that. Just police officers wear uniforms. There's value to that uniform. We should continue to value it and respect it.
Well, if a doctor walks in and he's wearing like a team T-shirt, some shorts, and like some khaki shorts, a button up, and like a hat, like, you're gonna walk in and he's like, yeah, I'm about to cut open your knee, and you're just like, no, what are you doing? Like, get out of here, bro. Like, who are you? Like, there's something to be said about wearing that white, like, all the stuff that the doctors wear, looking professional.
And the clothes aren't so important, but the respect for the position and you're supposed to look like you represent people. The town board meetings, I had an unofficial dress code, and people would come in. You couldn't wear a polo shirt. I said, wear a shirt and tie. Look like you're supposed to be running the town. Give the people the impression that we should be running the town, and dress appropriately. And it wasn't just because how you dress is important. It's just that have respect for the position. Don't come in in a Hawaiian, one off, fine, but don't come in a Hawaiian shirt, or don't, look like you're supposed to be representing town. Look like you're supposed
John Fetterman would not have gotten into your
look like you're supposed to be the doctor who's been cut into my kney.
Yeah. Hey, listen, John Fetterman's become the most base Democrat in the whole entire
well, I couldn't believe that he was running and got elected, and now the more he speaks, the more I'm like, geez, like,
I wish there were more Republicans that took his
right. Yeah. and here's the thing: even when I don't agree with him, he says what he thinks, and he doesn't apologize for having an opinion that's not exactly like everyone else's. And I'm like, God, that's what politics should be.
I think he directly said on CNN, as my brain heals, I think I'm getting more conservative. Like, I think he even said it too. Like, as I heal more, I think
because the lump took over. Right. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's weird. I couldn't believe he got elected, and then the more I listen to him, the more he
went up against Oz.
He's a blessing against Oz. Oz believes in abortion, so it's like. He might be a blessing. We might have actually dodged a bullet with Oz not getting in.
But that's the thing. He's the Fetterman speaks. He says what he thinks. Yeah, which is what politicians should be honest, but they're not. So when the guy's honest, you like him because he's honest. Even if you don't like his positions necessarily, you start to like him because you're like, I believe what he's saying.
Authenticity goes a long way. And if someone's authentic, the reason why people liked Bernie is because they thought he was authentic. Now, he's a Marxist, so there's no such thing as an authentic Marxist. But people thought he was, and he was fooled. He fooled a lot of people.
Yeah, he started to believe his own press clippings and
100%. Yeah. All right, so Stephan, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed the conversation.
So I hope I didn't derail your campaign too bad with my my rambunctiousness. But once again, he is Stephan Krakower, candidate for New York State 106th Assembly District. If you are in the area, if you're in his district 106, and you want to see him win, reach out. There are never enough volunteers on smaller local campaigns, things like that. And this campaign shouldn't be small. It's for a New York State position. So if you are in the area, go on. I'm going to put it up on the screen. And for those listening, if you're on a podcast, he is on Facebook. www.facebook.com/Stephan Krakower. And you go on there and you can get in touch with him, message him. He's very personable. If you want to help out, he'll tell you where to go. He'll guide you. Even if it's just, hey, I can't get door to door, but I can make phone calls from my house. I could do this. Can you come? I could make phone calls. Anything helps in a campaign. If you could donate anything you can. Money is always at a premium with campaigns, so please donate. And if you liked anything you heard, then let's fight to get him in there because Dee Dee Barrett. Dee Dee, if you are listening, you are more than welcome to come on the show as well. Yeah. I would love to have you on. I would love to talk to you. I'd love to hear what you have done for the community. If you have done things that I don't know, I've been in Poughkeepsie since 2007. If you have done things that are positive.
You have done things.
If you've done things that are positive for our community, come in and tell me. Talk about it. Let's do it.
If you can get her on, I'll come on. I'll debate her. I would love to have her.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I don't want to scare her, Stephan. I want her to come on the show.
But we should talk.
Yeah.
To be interactive.
100%.
Why there isn't a debate or why there aren't more debates at these state level positions, there should be more. Dee Dee should agree to a debate with you. I feel like that would be amazing that if we had that go on, because I think debates are healthy things when they're, when they're done properly and when there's moderators that are actually moderating. I digress. But overall, Dee Dee, you're welcome to come on, but this isn't about Dee Dee. This is about you, Stephan. We appreciate you jumping on.
Yes.
I wish you all the luck. Obviously, full disclosure, I'm biased. I want Stephan to win. I am a part of the GOP committee, so I am trying to get him to win. But if you want to help in any which way, please reach out, donate, do all the above, or just as something as small, share this so his message can get out to more people. You go follow his Facebook, share the things you see on his Facebook that he's doing as he's putting up videos of him going door to door consistently. He is out there. He's giving up a ton of his free time. Stephan, I don't know how the hell you see your kids or your wife or anybody anymore, because if you're not at the soccer field, you're walking around knocking on doors. So you're doing yeoman's work. You're doing great things, and we wish you nothing but luck, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
So we appreciate everyone that's been watching. We appreciate everyone that listens here. And we'll be back next week. We have more fun guests coming on. If you like what you heard, please like, share, follow, subscribe, spread this word of mouth. And we'll be back next week. Dave, you have anything else to say?
No.
It doesn't matter if you have it. I had to do it. All right, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye, all.
Good night.